Oh, hello. Welcome back. Tis I, Shub, here at the table again on this lovely Sunday. The blooms are blooming, at least on my hemisphere. It is a lovely, temperate morning. Little on again, off again clouds threatening to rain on us. It seemed like a nice, cheery day to go on a nice kind of pulp D&D dungeon dive, which is not at all the right theme for this type of day. But you know what? Uh, when a masterpiece, or at least a potential masterpiece of a game, lands on your door, the season matters not. It is time to get it to the table. I have been waiting for this game for at least 3 years. This is UnderQuest. This is quite possibly, if it's better than Iron Helm, which I don't know how that's going to be possible, but by all reports, it seems to be. This may very well be the very best dungeon dive board game in existence. Nothing short of that. I thought that about Iron Helm. This seems to take all of the things that were somewhat limiting with Iron Helm and rounds out those edges, fills in the gaps, and really truly evolves that masterwork of a formula that Jason Glover, the designer of this game, came up with for Iron Helm, and then takes it to that beautiful next level without, without like stuffing it to the gills with a bunch of extra stuff. There's a lot of extra stuff, but it doesn't seem, at least at first glance, to be overburdened. I'll find out how true that sentiment is when we play it, but the artwork on this, the thematic integration, which if you know me, you know that that is a huge thing for me, is through the roof. He has clearly spent the time to painstakingly hand draw this art. So much so that I went ahead and pulled out the up close cam again for UnderQuest. So we'll be able to show off some of that beautiful art in exquisite detail, I hope. And I did quick housekeeping note. The last stream I did a couple days ago, one of my viewers handily pointed out that my audio was blipping a little bit. I have done some testing prior to going live today with the same rig that we're using right now, and there was no such problem. So I think I've cleared it up. If there's any issues with sound, I trust that my trusty viewers will tune in and let me know. But I don't think we're going to have the same problem again today, hopefully. In any case, this is UnderQuest, and I am not going to spend a ton of time doing a deep dive tutorial how to play. I am going to, of course, make sure that I am familiar enough to play, and by extension, therefore, cover some of the details about how to play here. However, there's a lot to cover. This could take 45 minutes just to walk through all the little nitty-gritty details, and in fact, someone already has. Game Night is a channel here on YouTube, and I don't know if he streams on Twitch or not, actually. But he ended up actually partnering directly with Jason Glover to kind of finish polishing this game. He was initially given a review copy of the game to cover as it was heading to GameCrafters crowd sale, which is kind of their version of a Kickstarter. And he started to identify, as he was playing through it to learn the game, he was starting to identify areas where the game seemed to need a little bit more refinement, areas where he was getting caught in certain things or limited in certain ways, or the game seemed to be driving you towards a particular strategy, like it wasn't balanced quite to the degree it needed to be. And so Jason, rightly so, I think, pulled back and said, we're gonna end the crowd sale early, and we're not gonna proceed with it. We're not gonna finalize it. We're gonna take it off the shelf, and me and Game Night working together will work in the background to find those problems, resolve those problems, adjust whatever assets in the game need to be adjusted, and then we'll come back to GameCrafter when we think the game is where it needs to be. Because clearly, I'm speaking for Jason here, but I'm summarizing. Clearly, I missed some stuff, and we don't want to ship a game that needs to be fixed. That's obvious, right? But we see it a lot. We get games on our tables all the time that should have been play tested more, that should have been refined more. They should have pulled back and fixed it before it shipped, and they never did. Jason, commend, hat tip to Jason. That is the right call to do what you just did. And I believe from all reports that that effort was not in vain, that you actually did achieve what you set out to achieve. So if you know Iron Helm, you know that you are a D&D kind of character. We're going on an adventure. We're going to be trying to seek riches in the dark depths of the world. We are going to be a certain type of person. There's going to be other kinds of classes and things like that we can play. That's Iron Helm. And as we kick down doors, kind of Munchkin style, we're going to decide what we're going to do. Where we're going to try to avoid a certain encounter in favor of the unknown second encounter, which may be even worse, but we don't know until we make that call. And we're going to be kind of wandering the hallways of these dungeons, trying to figure out our way through and how we're going to make it out alive, and if we're going to enrich ourselves in the process, right? We're going to encounter all sorts of nasty critters along the way, but also mysteriousness and riches and passive events that happen that aren't just combat. So, and all of those things will evolve us as we encounter these things. We will change along with the game. And so Iron Helm did a lot of that. You gained certain items and you were able to exploit those items, and those modified your stats in a certain way. And if you came out at the other side of it with a certain amount of money, then and riches, then you effectively won the game, if you will. You survived. That's step one. It's actually pretty hard to survive in this game. But if you survived, then how well did you survive? Did you come out better than you came in, or about the same? In which case, what was the point other than the journey? So, this game takes that formula. It's card driven and then extends it further. How does it extend it? Well, now for one, I believe there's an entire incantations deck in the game, that means that you can cast spells. I was just flipping through the rule book a little bit, and I can see that we can now craft potions. In fact, I have some trinkets here that we start with. Sometimes you might even get ingredients for said potions. So we'll be doing potion crafting now. Let's see. A lot of the same things carry over from Iron Helm. So if you're familiar from that playthrough, and if you're not, you can watch my playthrough. And I will, for the sake of this playthrough and not covering all the nitty-gritty details, I will over here. Nope, I guess it's over here. There we go. I will put a QR code on the screen on my YouTube video right here. And it will take you to the game nights to full tutorial, which is about an hour long, which goes into the nitty-gritty details of all these little things, and it helps like step you through the process. If you buy this game, and spoiler alert, you should buy this game, then that will be very helpful for you, as it was for me, to get started and get up to speed. So anyway, so what else is new? We're crafting treasures and traps in different encounters. There are trinkets. There are rewards. There's an entire rewards deck. A few things you'll see here: rewards deck, treasure deck, ingredients, that's for potion crafting, trinkets, encounters. And then this is probably the fattest deck in this layout here is the encounters deck. So there's a lot of cards there. Enemies, abominations, and scourges. I don't know which of the two of which here are kind of mini bosses, but there are mini bosses now we can fight. And then down here on the bottom right, or the left corner rather, bottom left corner is our bosses. These are actual boss cards. There's 3 of them. I don't remember which one we go up against, or if we choose, we'll find out. But that is going to be the final boss of the game. There are 5 levels or possibly 6 levels of the dungeon. And that is up here, this level deck. And as we go lower and lower and lower, we'll flip those cards and keep track of what level we're on. If we make it all the way to the bottom of the dungeon without having fought and defeated the boss, we will have run out of time and we will have lost. So we do have to defeat the boss. That is the end state goal of the game, is to get all the way down, find and defeat the boss, and then make it out alive, of course. The biggest thing that I think is new in UnderQuest is this concept of, and what do they call them? They call them, let's make sure I have this right. Oh, it's in the front. It's in the front. They call them quest tokens. This quest token system, you can see them here. And in fact, let me pop in a little closer here. I think we could go here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so down here are 4 different quest tokens. They are combat, nature, mystic, and wealth. And the quests we will be going on, of which there are 6 in a given run, we have to finish all of our quests and then defeat the boss. And you draw from a deck of quest cards. There's actually 6 mini decks, and you shuffle each mini deck and you draw one of them from each of the 6, and that becomes the 6 that you're going to try to work through for this run. And you can see that up here. This is the very first quest. We'll read that. That's the first quest of our run. And you'll notice that those quest tokens are listed there. We actually have to obtain those through the main adventure, the kicking down of the doors, the turns that we take. We have to obtain those. And that's actually somewhat crafted now. You'll find when I kick open the door that when we choose what we're doing and or the monsters we're fighting, and I don't remember the details yet because I haven't played it yet, the cards that we draw will have like half of that symbol on either side of the card. And so we now have some kind of choices we need to make. Do we take the harder path because it's going to give us the half of the symbol that we need to complete our quest? Or do we, if we're worried about dying, maybe we don't have a choice, but we're going to be taking very deliberate turns to try to get those quest markers complete. And you do that by completing 2 cards with the same symbol on matching sides. You'll see what I mean as I go. It is brilliant looking, and I'm excited to give it a try because it now makes you make some harder choices than just simply, can I exploit that? Can I min-max that choice? Yeah, that's good, but you have to make it through those quests. You have to get them done. So there's some time there. There's pressure behind this. So that is going to be great. And it's a good pressure. It's like, I've got to get this quest done. I've got to find this thing. I've got to chase down this really nasty monster because it's going to give me what I'm looking for in order to get this quest done. So I'm looking forward to the kind of the quest crafting thing during exploration that I really, really think is going to change this game for the better. Yeah. Okay, so that's all exploration, character creation. Oh, character creation. Yeah, let's talk that for a minute. Since we're on this screen, I'll come over here instead. How about we go over here instead? There we go. Okay. So the character now is interesting. So you have your character race, and I'm decided to play Seldarin. That's this race. And when you do that, I should say there are race, class, and familiars. And every time you play, you're going to have a combination of these 3 cards. And so you can either draw them randomly or you can select them. I chose to select them because it's my first game, and I wanted to kind of just pick the type of game I wanted to have this first time and just see how the game performs. So I'm playing the Seldarin, and it starts, this card says I would get 15 health. But you'll notice that there are hearts on all 3 cards. It's because it's the accumulation of the hearts, the grit, and money and rations that all of these cards provide you that ends up being your stats for the game. So it's not just the fact that I'm that race that gives me 15 hearts, but it's also because I'm a Bastion, that's my class, that gives me 8 more hearts. So now I'm up to 23 hearts, that's hit points. And then because I have a one-eyed toad for a familiar, that gets me 5 more hearts. So combined, I start with, what did I say, 28 hit points. That's great. So that was being tracked by the stack of heart tokens here. Now, normally this stack would be very tall. I would have put 28 tokens in this stack, 1 per heart. However, the game in UnderQuest very kindly gives you 5 heart tokens. So now I don't have to get 28 of them. I have 20, I have 4 5 heart tokens, and then 8 regular single heart tokens in that stack. Should make accounting a little bit easier at the beginning. This second empty heart spot here on the playmat is empty because it's the discard. So as I spend health, as I get hit and take damage, I'll be putting heart tokens over there. That just makes healing and accounting a little easier later on. Grit, if you remember from Iron Helm, grit is used to modify your actions in combat primarily. And that is, and it's actually listed here on my class. If I spend 1 grit, I can modify, I believe it's add, I can add 3 points to whatever I'm doing. Usually it's an attack, right? And if I spend 2 grit, I can add 5. And if I spend 7 grit, I can add, or sorry, 3 grit, I can add 7. So what that essentially means is if I want to swing and swing hard and I want to blow through a bunch of grit to make sure that I land that hit or I add a lot of damage or whatever it is I'm trying to do, grit is what allows you to do that. And you're going to be gaining and spending grit throughout the game, hopefully. It's hard to get. If I remember correctly, it's harder to get. So you want to be judicious about it. You don't want to just swing for the fences all the time. You have to be strategic about when and where you invest your grit. But each class in UnderQuest modifies the impact that grit has. So different classes have a different spread of output when you spend the various quantities of grit, 1, 2, or 3. I think that's fantastic. And then your familiar over here modifies where you begin on the morality track. If you remember from UnderQuest, or sorry, Iron Helm, morality, you'd kind of start at 0, and then depending on the choices you make and throughout the game, your morality will either go up or down, and you'll get benefits or negativity based on what happens and who you encounter along the way, based on where your morality sits. There are 6 familiars in the base game. 3 of them start you at a -1, and 3 of them start you at a +1. I chose to go +1. And there are benefits and everything else for every one of these choices. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but you can tune a lot of things. There are 3 base stats above health that you need to worry about in this game. They are agility, brawn, and mind. That's why there are 3 dice, and you can't really see them over there. Let me see about that. I will, I'll go here. No, I won't. I'll go here. Why is that doing that? That's annoying. How about we go close up? Maybe that close up? That's annoying. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I will, I'll come back here instead. So over here on the morality tracker, this is where you track all of that. Now, the game actually comes with a number of these large tracking cards. I'm only using a combination of them. In fact, these are 3 cards that are overlapping in very creative ways, because those are the stats that I want to track using cubes. You don't have to use most of these cards. You do for some of it, but not all of it. In fact, you don't even have to use the tokens. You can use these tracking cards instead of tokens if that's what you want to do. It's not what I want to do, but you can. And in fact, that's why you don't have to have these playmats. I chose to buy them, and I don't buy playmats, especially playmats that don't fit in the box. These playmats do not fit in the box. They're very large. And I chose to do it anyway. So that should tell you where I'm at on this. I think the playmat and the art style really add a lot to the game. I think in this case, I really have to say I recommend getting them. I think I even have them for base Iron Helm too, I believe I do. for that same reason. It just really helps, not just with the thematic integration, but it helps lay out the game in a way that just can make a lot of sense. But you don't need to. If you don't have them or you don't want to buy them, which I don't blame you, they're not cheap, you can just play with the cards, and the cards will just track everything, and you don't have to worry about anything. It's just the decks and those tracking cards over there, and you'll have a great time. So, anywho, I'm playing Seldarin, and I'm a Bastion, which seems to be the brawn kind of fighter class, near as I can tell. And then the one-eyed toad. At all combined 28 health, all combined, I also gained 10 grit, 7 from the race, 3 from the class, and 1 from the familiar. I again mentioned I start with a +1 morality because of my familiar, and my character can carry up to 10 encumbrance. That is essentially a carry limit based on your character's physical attributes. And because of the combination that I have here, I can carry up to 10 encumbrance. Different items weigh different things. For example, this class, is it class? Yes, this class, the Bastion, starts with the Dull Gladius. Let me see if I can push in. Nope, not there. Up here? I must have messed something up there. Okay, you can kind of see it there. So I'll push that up. So that's the Dull Gladius here at the bottom of the screen. And it has an encumbrance of 2. I also have these two items. What are these? Are these trinkets? These are probably both trinkets? Yeah. Okay. I have these 2 trinkets, and together, any 2 trinkets or potion ingredients weigh 1 encumbrance. So you can have a lot of stuff in here, but the more you have, the more it adds up. Trinkets and ingredients both weigh 0.5 encumbrance each. Think of it like that. But you don't count them until you have a combination of 2. That gives you an additional 1 encumbrance. It just keeps you from being able to just have a bag of holding that holds on to absolutely everything. You still have to be judicious about how you carry things, but you can carry a lot more trinkets and ingredients than you can regular items. So if I were to mark my encumbrance right now, I would mark 2 encumbrance for the Gladius and 1 encumbrance for these 2 items, these trinkets and ingredients over there. So I would be at 3 encumbrance of a max of 10. However, I'm not quite done with character creation. There's one last step. And so I chose to pause at that step to start the stream. And so I picked my class, I picked my race, I picked my my familiar ahead of time. That's what I've been covering. Where are you? I have a skill proficiency as being a Bastion. It's Fortitude. And it says, you were born from a hardy stock and are able to persist in this cruel world. Gain 1 bonus health whenever you consume a potion that restores health. So health potions are more potent for me. Remove 1 bonus poison whenever you rest at a campsite. That's fantastic. So I get over potions faster. And then you may spend 2 grit in an attempt to remove some poison. That's new. Make a brawn check. So I'm going to be doing skill checks. I think that's even new. So I'm going to make a brawn check if in that scenario. And if I succeed, I remove D6 minus D6 poison. So if I rolled a 4 and a 2, then I would minus those 2 and I would remove 2 poison. That's how that works. Right. Okay. So that's Fortitude, and that's a brawn skill because I'm basically a brawn built character. I have a cumulative 3 brawn. You can't really see it in that view, can you? You can kind of see 2 of them, brawn and mind over there. I'll probably be mostly living in this pushed out view here most of the time. So you'll see these in smaller view. So you have agility, brawn, and mind being tracked by those blue dice over there. And then below that are 5 symbols, and I'm not still quite up to speed on what those symbols mean. Let's go see if we can find them. His books are usually pretty well laid out. Sometimes he gets a little bit generic and doesn't quite go into the level of detail he needs to get to. But hopefully this book is better than that. We shall see. Combat. Interesting. He does not talk about it, not evenly anyway. So I think they're different kinds of damage, and I'm trying to think of where I would find that answer in the rule book. This is another reason I stream the way I stream, because I think it is invaluable for you to see how well a rule book functions when you're trying to find answers. I don't like to be fully polished about absolutely everything. Otherwise, you may not get that same impression by watching the video. So let me see. Is there, and there's no glossary, unfortunately, of the symbols either, which you know I like a good glossary. There are different kinds, I'm sure it's written in here in text, but there's no, like, there's no iconography listed with the text, so it's going to be hard for me to find the answer at a glance, unfortunately. And there's iconography throughout the book, so it shouldn't be a problem to include it. Ah, here we go. This icon indicates what school of magic this incantation falls into. So we have the skull here. The skull is purple, and it's holy. So that's holy damage, or the school of incantation. So it's a holy incantation. Or there's the snowflake above that, which is blue, and that is an ice school of incantation. Or the flame, of which of course is fire. And then white is regular old damage, and the shield down here that I'm marking with a black cube is just regular old defense, I think. We'll find out if I'm right, but I'm nearly certain that's what those all mean. And it's just a way to kind of, at a glance, track what your bonuses are. So you can just look at that and go, oh yeah, +3. Yeah, okay. So now, like I said, on to the last step of setup. The last step of setup is to visit the Lonely Troll Inn, I believe it's called. Is that what it's called? Inn. Just says inn, but that's right. I'm sure it's called, I believe it is called the Lonely Troll Inn. But in any case, we're going to visit the inn, and we're going to trade. We're going to look to see what Karn has available for sale, or Kaln. Kaln is the name. So we're going to visit Kaln at the Lonely Troll Inn, and we're going to see what he has for sale. And we start the game with $3 because if we look, my class says what my starting gold is. So my class is telling me that I have 3 gold. So right here, I have 3 gold tokens on that stack. So I have 3 to spend. The other thing I can do if I wanted is I could sell my current weapon, which is worth $2, if I wanted more money, but that would mean I start with no weapon, and that's not a good idea. So unless the items on offer include a new weapon, I wouldn't want to sell that weapon. And in this case, in fact, these were the 5 cards that I shuffled and drew randomly. Neither one of those. None of them are weapons. So we're definitely going to start with that Dull Gladius, and we're going to make the best of that. But the nice thing about the Dull Gladius is it says it deals 1 extra damage to all successful hits. So I just get a blanket +1, which is nice. Okay, so on offer at the Lonely Troll Inn from Kaln is Murlac's Tonic, Fur Cloak, Spell Tome, Prayer Beads, and Godfrey's Spirits. They're all worth 1 gold each, with the exception of the Spell Tome here. I am not a mind-built character. Mind would most likely be the class used for spell casting. So I probably won't be focused on spell casting on this build, just because this weapon is a mind weapon and I am a brawn character. My skill proficiency is in brawn. So as I gain skills, because as you level up and you gain experience, you can spend that experience on skills. As you gain skills, it's easier for you to learn skills that are within your character's skill proficiency. In my case, it's brawn. So I wouldn't want to get a bunch of things that amp up mind or agility, because those are a skill proficiency that I don't have, and it's going to take me longer to find complementary skills in those areas. So I can still do it. If I want to cross-class, if I want to multi-class, I can. It just costs me more experience. So it's going to take me longer to accumulate that experience. The nice thing about playing the Seldarin is that it says I have a special ability. The cost of learning a new skill is reduced by 1. That means I can learn a new skill in my chosen proficiency for 1 less, but also a skill in my in any of the other ones for 1 less experience as well. So let me make sure I'm right about what it costs. Yeah, okay. Skill proficiencies, the skills are easier for you to learn and cost only 6 experience. In my case, they cost 5 because I get that benefit. If the stat does not match your skill proficiency, they are more difficult for you to learn and cost 10 experience, or 9 in my case. So it's either 5 or 9. If I want to learn a bronze skill, it's 5 for me. Very cool. Okay, so that's skills. That's probably why I'm not going to focus on this. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'm going to go. Well, I can scoot this down. It's fine. I can scoot this down. We'll play it off to the side. It's no big deal. So this here, this door that's kind of half on the screen, that's going to be a discard pile. And then these 2 doors here are where I'm going to make a choice between 2 cards. And this is the draw deck here, which has already been shuffled. In fact, all of the decks that need to be shuffled have already been shuffled. So here we are. Here's our 5 options. I have $3 to spend unless I want to sell the Dull Gladius, which I don't. And why would I want to pick one of these? Well, the special abilities, these are 2 potions. Let's start with potions, because those are easier to understand if you're familiar with D&D or any kind of dungeon-y game. This is a poison potion, so it just helps you recover from poison, discard poison tokens. The Godfrey Spirits gives you 3 grit. You, quote-unquote, restore 3 grit. What that means is I can't get more grit than I can my max grit, which is 10, I believe. I'll double check if I can go above that. But because it says restore 3 grit, that tells me that I need to have spent 3 grit before this potion can be used. But when you do quaff that potion, you roll a d6, and if the result is 1, you also gain a curse token. So it is not without risk. And in fact, the poison relief token here, or a potion, the poison potion here, says roll a d6, and if the result is a 1, lose 1 health. So there's a 10 or 11% chance that either of these potions will cause me harm in some way, but also could be quite beneficial. And grit is hard to get, so I am probably going to go ahead and buy Godfrey's Spirit. That's going to be one of the dollars we spend. Fur Cloak, reduce all ice damage you take by 1, and also gain 1 health when you rest at a campsite. 1 additional, it's a bonus health. So campsites let me rejuvenate health better when I'm wearing this fur cloak. This would sit on my body though, so it's considered armor. So if I obtained new armor somewhere else throughout the journey, I would have to discard this card or hold on to it before I could sell it or something, right? So I wouldn't be worrying about that. So maybe not the fur cloak. We'll put the fur cloak over here. Relax tonic, maybe, but let's look, not the spell tome, we'll put the spell tome on the left as well. So now I think we're here. Prayer beads are interesting. Gain 1 health and 1 grit, or remove 2 poison every time you resolve the altar. In Iron Helm, the altar came up fairly regularly. In fact, I believe there's at least 1 altar in here. No guarantee that you're going to see the altar because you're making a choice between 2 cards, so it's always a possibility you might pass it by and not realize it. But if you resolve the altar and you have the prayer beads, you get extra goodies. The only downside with the prayer beads is if you are less moral. If I am amoral, lower than 0 morality, then I can't use the prayer beads. So I have to stay pious and moral if I'm going to use the prayer beads. But I plan to anyway, and the reason why is my one-eyed toad familiar says whenever your morality moves up on the morality tracker, you gain 1 ration. It finds you food. Ration is important because if it's the same as it is in Iron Helm, you have to eat at least 1 ration By the way, I didn't give myself my one ration. Let's give myself a ration right now. If you don't eat your ration at the end of every level, then I believe you starve and you die, and then you fail the run. So you have to keep at least one ration on you. So if I can stay high on the morality track, I will always gain. If I can, as I move up the track, each time I move up, I'm just going to gain food from my familiar. So that's huge. At least for me, it is. The familiar also gave me 1 extra brawn, which was really nice. So I'm at an effective 3 brawn just starting the game. So with that in mind, we have prayer beads, which benefit me for being a moral person. So I'm going to be moving on with those. We'll definitely buy those. The last question I have is this tonic. Do I want a poison tonic? In the base, in Ironhelm, poison was manageable. And there's also crafting potions. So I'm not going to be like constantly hunting for potions. I do have to do work to craft them. So I don't know if I really need it though. Let's look at potions. I want to see, or not potions, damage. I want to understand poison for a moment. Abominations, ending the game. Stats, stat checks, inventory, exploration. Huh. I'm sure there's a section in here that talks about it. Trinkets are interesting, by the way. They're not just little things, although they are at the beginning, but you can do a little set collection, and when you manage to find the collection, you can then craft a special item with them in many cases, like this raw amber that I drew. I'll bring it down here so you can see it. This raw amber that I drew at the start of the game as part of setup says you may discard an amber to add 2 fire damage to a single attack. I'm not going to do that because it says this item is half of what is required to craft a fire wand. So if I can find the wand shaft card as part of playing the game, I can use it to craft a fire wand, which seems super powerful. We'll see if I can manage to find it and how good it is, but that's the idea there. Poison is what I was hunting for. Incantations, combat, weakness. Different enemies are weak to different types of attacks, which is really cool. Magic damage. Huh. I guess we'll get to how potions or how poison works along the way. Experience and skills, inventory, stat checks, agility. Weird. Finishing the level. Here we go. Feed your character by discarding 1 ration. If you do not have a ration, you must lower your health by 3. Okay, so I don't die immediately, but I do start to starve, and starving loses me hit points. That is I think that is true for Ironhelm as well. For every 2 poison you currently have, you gain an additional 1 poison. If at any point your poison level is equal to or greater than your health level, you instantly die. So, that's kind of poison. But it also means that I have a little bit of time. I don't know how plentiful poison is in this version of the game. I guess we'll see. Do I want to spend my last remaining dollar? I'm a little worried that there'll be some reason to have extra money on me while I'm in the game. So I'm not going to spend all of it. We're not going to buy the poison token. We're going to take our chances. We are going to buy the prayer beads and Godfrey's spirits for 2 gold. So that's done. These go up into my inventory. By the way, these player boards that I've got here are, let's see, that's that. Is this probably, no. I should just go fix these, but that'll work. Oh, okay. I can use that for my normal view. I will do that. Okay, sorry, I meant to I meant to do something different, but that's all right. Here we go. That's a pretty decent view. Okay, so we've got my 2 trinkets. We talked about Amber. We haven't talked about my other one yet because we're about to. And then now we've got our 2 Godfrey's spirits and prayer beads. So that adds 2 encumbrance, because this is worth 1 encumbrance and this is another 1 encumbrance. So now I'm at effectively a 5 encumbrance, because these 2 count as 1 and this counts as 2. So that's where we're at the moment. So let me discard trappings. Okay, so that takes care of trappings. Now let's resolve the last thing. We're still at the inn, because one of the trinket cards that I drew at the beginning of the game is called the Carved Gnome. I'm going to quickly go see if there happens to have been an answer to my post on this card, because I'm very curious. Give me just a second to go find it. No answer yet, doesn't look like. Okay, so just want to check that. Okay, so the reason I asked that question on BGG is because the special text on this card, in fact, I'll even put it over here so we can read it together. The special text on this card, you can probably barely read that because of the blue screen there, but it says, you may trade this card with Caln back at the Lonely Troll Inn. He will present you with 3 random treasure cards, and you may trade this card for one of them. Because I obtained this card during setup, it had not yet occurred that I was at the Lonely Troll Inn. The last step of character creation is to visit the inn, so I'm going to go ahead and exercise my right to resolve this card right now. So we'll put that out here, and that means, let's see, 3 random treasure cards. Okay, I've shuffled this deck, so we're just going to draw them straight out. We're going to decide what we want to do. Wow. These are monsters. Okay. I get to trade for one of these items. The Shard Axe is worth 4 gold on its own. It is a primary hand weapon and weighs 2. So it's the same as my sword, just worth twice as much. And it says add 3 damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to ice. So it'll just be a normal weapon in any other case. But if I attack somebody who's weak to ice, plus 3 damage. Amazing. Scale armor worth 5 gold, weighs 3 encumbrance, and is of course armor, so it sits on the body. Subtract 2 damage from all enemy attacks. Wearing scale armor lowers your agility by 1. Your agility may never be lower than 1. Okay, well, I have an agility of 2 right now, so I can actually take that hit and be down to 1, but in exchange, be wearing scale armor, which would be pretty cool. Or finally, we have the compass, which says it's an accessory, so it doesn't take up a slot. And it says spend 1 last ration when you encounter the labyrinth. The labyrinth can be a pain in the ass. In Iron Helm, you can get stuck in the labyrinth for a while, and the longer you stay in the labyrinth, the more rations you burn through, which sucks. So the compass might help me do that. But to get started, I am definitely going to be focused on either the weapon or the armor. It's kind of it's a gamble, right? If I run across a bunch of enemies that aren't weak to ice, then if I trade this in from the Gladius, then I'll lose that blanket +1 to all of my attacks that the Gladius gives me. On the other hand, if I encounter a bunch of weak to ice critters, then I'm going to be blowing through people with this weapon. So that could be really good. The scale armor, on the other hand, soaks damage of all kinds, which feels good. I have 28 hit points, which probably tells me I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. I'm trying to decide, what do I want to do here? Let's stay agile. Let's take the chance that we get an ice critter, and we're going to take the Shard Axe. I could take the armor. I'm really tempted to take the armor, but I'm just not gonna. I feel like let's specialize a little bit. So we'll specialize in ice. That's probably a mistake, but we'll see. All right, we are finally done. We have finalized everything we need to finalize in order to get started. So let's get started. We're going to trade in this trinket. And I'll shuffle those when the time comes, but it's at the bottom of the deck for now. Okay, I think we are ready to start exploring. When your character created, you are now ready to begin your epic adventure. UnderQuest is played in rounds called levels, which represent the dungeon you are exploring. Each level is made up of 9 turns. Yeah, because there's 18 cards in the dungeon deck, and we're drawing 2 every turn, so 9 turns. The end of the level is triggered when you resolve the 9th turn. So we're going to draw 2 cards. Okay, now we have to decide left door, right door, right? This is good old-fashioned Iron Helm conceit. Yeah, reveal 1, choose to resolve it, or then resolve the other one. We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah. During each turn, 1 dungeon card will be resolved and 1 will be discarded face down into the discard pile. Let's see. The first dungeon card that you resolve at the beginning of the level will be placed face up to create a tableau. Each subsequent dungeon card you resolve must be added to the tableau by placing it on either side of the cards currently in the tableau. Every dungeon card has half a quest token icon on each side. Whenever you place a card on the tableau and the quest icons match, you gain that particular quest token. If they do not match, you simply gain no quest token. So that's how we're going to be completing quests. Okay, interesting. Can I have multiple? Yeah. I could discard a quest token at any time to gain 1 experience. That's handy. Okay, it doesn't say I can't have multiple. Let's see. The quest deck tells, right. Oh, that's right. I got to read my quest. Okay. Great. Yep. It doesn't say I can't have multiple quest tokens. So I can hoard quest tokens in the hopes that eventually I will need them if necessary. So we're going to start off by reading our quest. This is quest number 1 of 6. And it says, this is again randomly drawn. Speak to Godfrey. Your adventure begins with the need to seek out an old monk, Godfrey. He is said to know of a location that may be a key to your quest. Rumor has it there is a small deserted chapel not too far into the Black Mountains. That is a likely place to unite with Godfrey or him. So in order to complete this quest, I will need to get 1 wealth, 1, oh God, I missed it again. Let's see if I can remember. There we go. 1 wealth, 1 combat, and 1 mystic quest token. That's what these 3 mean. So as we're going and we're making decisions about which ones to pick, we're going to be trying to keep an eye out for opportunities to create those 3 quest tokens. So with that in mind, let's just for funsies take the left door first. Skirmish, oh dear. You draw, so if I take this card, if I decide to resolve the skirmish card, then I will do what's listed in number 1. If on the other hand, this card had been the second card and I had chosen to skip this card, then I would have to do the second section instead. It's the harder version. So I don't know what this card is. I could say I don't want to skirmish right now. But skirmishing early is not a bad thing because an enemy cards that you fight add double the dungeon level to their health. So my current dungeon level is 2. So they get nastier the deeper in the dungeon you go. So kind of makes sense to fight now when they're a little weaker. Do I go through a skirmish without seeing this card? It could be way worse. This could be an ambush. Let's take this skirmish. Okay, so when we discard cards, let's make sure I'm right here. Discard the revealed card face down, then reveal and resolve the second. Oh, that's when I do the other one. Okay, got it. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the completed cards over here, and I'll put the discarded cards over there. So this card's going to go over here in the discard, and this card, when we're done with it, will go over here. So, but right now we have to do that. So we're going to resolve the top of this card, not the bottom, because this was the card that we flipped first, and we chose to resolve it. You draw your weapon and square off against your foe. Draw an enemy card and add double the dungeon level to their health. So we take from the dungeon the enemy card. This deck has been shuffled. And we are fighting a Flyclops. It has a base hit points of 5. And therefore, we will add 2 because the current dungeon level is 1 and that we add double. So on my little enemy health tracker, I'm just going to put it at 7 because you can't see it, but it's just mostly for me to help with accounting. Let's read these cards. I think it has a shield value of 1, which means I think I have to do at least 2 damage in order to start doing damage to it, but I'll double check that. Combat. Curses and Scourges. Morality. Encounters. Companions. Incantations. Combat. Okay. Anatomy of a card real quick. We have hit points, health. We have damage. So it deals 0 damage. That's interesting. This is the base damage, of course. You have defense. This is how much damage the enemy will subtract from your successful hits. So it soaks 1 damage. Defense does not subtract from fire, ice, holy damage. Right. And then this is the amount of money, or what I will gain, I believe. 5 is treasure type. Okay. I don't know what C means, but we'll find out. And then here it says 6 is this weakness. And each enemy has a weakness. This enemy is weak to ice, which is beneficial for me because I have the Shard Axe. The Shard Axe does 3 damage. It adds 3 damage to all successful attacks for ice weakened enemies. When the Flyclops successfully hits, you take an additional 2 fire damage. You may avoid a battle with the Flyclops by discarding 1 ration. It has an initiative of 4. Initiative. Interesting. This indicates the number of initiative of the enemy. In order to determine who takes the first turn in combat, you will have to check initiative. To do this, you will roll a d6 and add your agility. Hey, I'm glad I didn't take that that armor now, because it would have reduced my agility. So now I get a +2 to my roll. Okay, I rolled a 3. My +2 is a 5. Okay. If the sum is equal to or higher than the enemy's initiative, you get to take the first turn. So I get to take the first turn because its initiative is 4. Had I had the armor, I still would have won because I break ties. That's nice. Okay, so in this case, I go first because I have a higher initiative than it does. Combat is resolved in turns. You and the enemy will take turns attacking each other until one of you runs out of health and dies. They determine initiative, determine enemy health. Yes. Right. Right, okay. Special abilities, did that. Attacking the enemy. It is currently my turn to attack, so that's what we're going to do. On your turn, you must either attempt to attack the enemy, cast an incantation, or use an item from your inventory to deal damage. You may consume any number of items as a free action and still attack, bitter remedy, etc. That's good to know. You may not craft a potion from ingredients or eat rations during combat. Let's now focus on attacking. Before you roll any dice, you must first determine how much grit you want to spend on your attack. Spending grit equals the amount of effort you want to put into your attack, which allows you to deal bonus damage. You may elect not to spend any grit, which will forego any potential bonus damage. Okay, so let's look at this. He's got 7 hit points. If I don't add grit to this attack, then I will deal 3 damage if I hit him, because my shard axe deals 3 damage, additional damage. Now you must attempt to hit the enemy. To do so, simply roll 2d6. If you roll doubles, you miss and deal 0 damage. Any grit you may have spent is lost and becomes the enemy's turn to attack, assumes I roll doubles. If the dice results in 2 different values, subtract 1 die from the other. The difference equates to how well you hit and how much base damage you have dealt. For example, you roll 2d6 and get the results of 2 and 5. 5 minus 2 is 3, therefore you deal 3 base damage. So the best roll I can make without adding grit is a 6 and a 1, which means I deal 5 damage. Plus 3 from my shard axe would be 8 damage, and I would kill him. That means I have to roll at least a 4 and a 1, so I get 3 damage. No, 5 and a 1, so I get 4 damage. Plus my 3 is 7, unless I add grit. Adding grit from my character, if you'll remember, if I add 1 grit to the attack, I'll add 3. Let me make sure I'm right about that. Yeah. Bonus damage. Attack modifiers. One moment. Okay. I think somebody just dropped something at my door, so I might have to go get that. One moment. Let's see. Did they? I don't see anything. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's see. Bonus damage. Right. Add any bonus damage from the grit you spent before you rolled. Look at the bottom right corner of the weapon card you have equipped. Right. Every weapon relies on a stat. You add your matching stat value to your attack. Ooh. If you attack with the iron sword, which is brawn, you get your brawn stat to your damage. So if you have 3 brawn, you add plus 3 damage to your attack. Whoa! I have 3 brawn. So that changes the calculus a bit. If I need to make 7 damage in order to kill this guy, and I get 3 base damage if I hit him, then I would get 3 plus 1 at minimum, which would be 4 damage, plus 3. Because let's say I rolled like a 4 and a 5, I get 1. So that's 1 damage. Then I add my base of 3 brawn, because I'm using a brawn weapon. And that's 4 damage. And then I add plus 3 from my shard axe, because he's weak to ice, which would be 7 damage. So any hit at all will kill this guy. I don't have to spend grit on this at all. So I'm not going to. Let's see if I roll doubles and whiff, but I'm not adding any grit at all. Nope, I didn't roll doubles. I rolled 6 and a 3, so I did 3 points of damage. Plus 3 is 6. Plus 3 from my shard axe is 9. Flyclops dies. Cool. I swatted a fly for my first combat. I think that's pretty good for the first thing. Okay. Yeah, ending combat. You and your enemy will take turns until one of you dies. If your enemy runs out of health, they are defeated, and you gain experience shown on their card, as well as any treasure. What experience? Is that the star? That's probably the little star in the corner. Let's see. 8. Experience. You will gain experience equal to the number of star icons shown here if you defeat the enemy. So that means I gain 1 little experience token, which I will put on my little playmat up there. I now have 1 experience. And we now get treasure of type C. Let's see what we get. Rewards, companions, treasure. You will be equipping character trappings and treasures throughout the course of the game. These may look like weapons, armor, final forms. Yeah. Okay. Encounters, trinkets. When drawing cards from the treasure deck, when resolving merchant dungeon card, if you draw any cards that do not have a gold value, discard the card and draw a new one. So that still doesn't tell me what to do with treasure C5. Refer to the current level tracker card to see what loot the foe may be carrying. Oh, type C. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so we look at the level card. And because it says C on it, it says type C, 1 ration or 1 trinket. Trinkets are pretty cool. I have 1 ration, and as long as I stay moral, I'll get another one if I get another morality test. It seems like a gamble. I only have 1 ration. I probably should take a ration. I'm a long way from running through this deck and getting out of level 1. I think we'll take our chances and see if we can't get another type C before the dungeon is over and get that ration. But for right now, I'm going to take that trinket. And we're going to see what we got. We got a wine bottle. If you encounter the talking dead, you may give the skeleton this empty bottle, and you will not have to make a mind check. Nice. Well, okay, very specific. But I didn't calculate my starting encumbrance, so let me do that now. Okay. We killed the Flyclops. I don't know where I'm supposed to be discarding face-up cards. I guess it doesn't really matter, right? I can just discard everything face down once I resolve it. So we'll put the dead characters over there. Just so I know who's dead and who's not. We took our trinket. Now let's calculate our encumbrance, because I forgot to do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2 trinkets we have, the wine bottle and the raw amber, give us a 5th encumbrance. So we have a max of 10. So I'm going to set that at the 11 so that I know I can slide all the way up to that 10. And I'm going to put the marker currently at 5 because that's where we are. Okay. All right. Next door. We went left the last time. Something's telling me to go left again. So I'm going to go left again. Clearing. Anything can happen in a clearing. Draw and resolve an encounter card. You know what? Let's do an encounter. I like it. An old bridge, an old tattered bridge stands before you with bats circling in the air above. It stretches across a deep chasm. You must make your way across. Make an agility check. If you fail, gain 1 poison. If you succeed, you will gain 1 wealth quest token, which I need. Okay, now hold on. I thought I was supposed... Oh, clearing. That's right. No. That's right. This game... Hold on a minute. This game is different. The skirmish that I completed stays out. That's right. So now I have half a quest token on either side of the skirmish. That's done. So that stays out. The clearing, which I'm resolving right now, will go here, giving me a completed quest token, whether or not I complete this old bridge, which grants me another one. But having 2 is not going to suck. So we're going to complete this clearing in a moment. We haven't done that yet, but we will. So let's roll an agility check. I've never done a stat check, so let's do a stat check in UnderQuest. There it is. During your adventure, you will often be asked to perform a stat check in order to overcome an obstacle. To perform a stat check, you will roll 1 6-sided die, 1d6, and add the value of the stat in question. So in my case, it is 2. If the sum of the roll and the stat being tested is 7 or above, you succeed. You will always be attempting to reach 7 or higher. If you roll a 1, you automatically fail. Okay, so it is a static target. It is always 7. So I get a +2 to my roll. That means I have to roll a 5. Means I'm going to gain a poison here. Most likely. I have a 20% chance, roughly, to roll a 5. And I rolled a 1, which means I automatically fail, which is fine. I was going to fail anyway. So I gain a poison token. We talked about poison before. I'm okay as long as I have 1. As soon as I gain 2, then it starts to multiply. I'm going to have to cure it. But I have 1 already. So I failed. I don't get the bonus wealth quest token, unfortunately. So that was an encounter. But because we completed the clearing, this card goes up into our tableau and I get a quest token anyway, which is one of the 3 that I needed. So I'll go ahead and stick that right there. This card we did not see. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. As a reminder, I need one of the red ones, which is right here. And I need a potion one. I don't know what their actual names are, but that's what we're going to go with. Okay, what do we got here? Right side. Ambush. You catch your foe by surprise and gain the upper hand. I like that. Draw an enemy card and add double the dungeon level to their health. You get to attack first. So I immediately get initiative. Doom Skull. Once again, 7 damage, because it's 5 plus 1 times 2. If the Doom Skull misses during combat, it will explode, dealing 5 fire damage. Discard this card and gain no treasure or experience if he explodes. Hate that. So I'm going to need to one-shot this guy again. He is not weak to ice. He's weak to holy. So I don't get a bonus from my weapon. I do get my +3 brawn, though. So I would get, if I rolled a 5 and a 1, I would get 4 plus 3 is 7 damage. But that's a tall order. If I whiff, it's not a base, adding grit isn't a buff to the attack itself. It's a buff to the damage that I deal. Is that right? No, it's not. Yeah. Any bonus damage from the grit you spent before you rolled your dice. I see. So yes, it is just a damage boost. So as long as I don't roll doubles, I'm going to hit him for at least 1. +3 will be, let's say, 4. I'm going to spend 1 grit. I'm going to spend 1 of my grit. I still have 9 left. That will add 3 damage. So even if I just roll a 1 for the attack, I will still kill him in 1 shot. So as long as I don't roll doubles, famous last words, then we'll be good. I didn't roll doubles, but I came damn close, and I only rolled a 1. So 1 plus 3 from my brawn is 4. No damage for my extra my shard axe, because it's only good against enemies that are weak to ice. So it would just be 4 damage and he'd still be alive. However, because I spent 1 grit and I'm a bastion class, I get to add 3 damage, which is exactly 7, and he's dead. So he didn't explode. I get 1 experience. Okay. And it says I gain 1 treasure of type C, 1 ration, or 1 trinket. Do I roll the dice again and still don't go get 1 more? He had an 8 initiative, by the way, so I'm really glad that I ambushed him. God, I should probably get another ration. Let's get a ration. I want more trinkets because I'm hunting for that wand, but I need to not be stupid here. Ooh, this sucks though, but look, neither one matches up, right? I don't need nature right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and put him over here and let that break. I don't get a quest token for that. Because they don't match, but I need to keep that open. Okay. So this goes over here. 2 more. We'll kick open this door. It's an altar. Yes, we'll take the altar. I think. Let's look. Hold on. These don't help us. I need this. But I would have to put this out here and break that combat one. And I'm not too keen on doing that. But if I put it on the other side, then I'll break the potion that I need. Let's read this. Sometimes the sanctuary is found in the least expected place. You kneel at the altar and pray for healing, peace, favor, guidance. No, okay. So if I move up pray for favor, I move up 1 place on the morality tracker and gain a grit. So I get my grit back, and because I have my familiar, I would gain a ration as well. I could instead, oh, I don't want to discard 2 experience, but guidance is one of the options. Here's what altar looks like. If I took guidance instead, it says discard 2 experience to gain 1 quest token of your choice. That's good, but I don't really want to lose the experience. I want skills. So I think I'm going to go for favor. Move up 1 place, gain a grit, and in my case, because of my familiar, gain a ration for moving up the morality track. So can I see that here? Let me see. Is that here? Or how about here? That'll work-ish. So you can kind of barely see the morality track over here, kind of at the end. It's like my finger's right there, right? So I'm moving up 1. You can't see it because of the position of these cameras. I need to be a bit careful next time I set these, but my tracker is now sitting at 2. In fact, I'll come here so you can see it on the broad view. So here's my tracker, and I've moved it to 2. So I'm at 2 in the morality tracker now because I prayed at the altar for favor. And since we're at this view, I will go ahead and say that my one-eyed toad gives me a ration because I moved up on the morality track. I'll stay at this view. I think I can push in if needed for a detail view, or I can use the close-up cam. So now we have to decide, what do we want to do with this altar? Do I break the combat that I need? Or do I break the potion? Neither one are good for me. But I've already been in 2 combats early, and I got lucky with both of them. Oh, I got my grit back. I forgot I need to get my grit back. Okay. So I think I'm going to try to break. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to break the potion quest token path in favor of keeping this combat open. I don't know if that was a good move or not, but here we go. Left or right? Left again. Clearing again. Drawn, resolve an encounter. Okay. Mizlok the beggar. From the shadows, a malnourished husk of a man stumbles towards you, clutching a holy relic and begging for any gold you can spare. If your morality is 0 or in positive, you may give Mizlok 1 gold and move up 1 space in the morality tracker. If your morality is negative, he senses your wickedness and begins chanting. Roll d6 and refer to see what happens. there's like a 50-50 chance something bad will happen. Either you'll lose something or nothing will happen, or you'll gain a poison or a scourge. Wow. So, oh, that's all going to be bad. You're either going to gain poison, a scourge, lose grit, lose health, or whatever. And this is because he senses your amorality and comes after you. So because I am a moral person, I can pay alms, I can pay 1 gold and go up on the morality tracker. I have 1 gold. And going up on the morality tracker will mean getting another ration, which means I can spend more time getting trinkets and other things later and not making the ration choice all the time. So we're going to go ahead and give him my last gold, and we're going to go up to 3 on the morality tracker, and therefore gain another ration. Thank you, one-eyed toad. We're now at 4, and the beggar goes away. Am I going face up? I am going face up. Okay, I want to make sure. Oh, I want to make sure I'm not. I know what I'm doing with these cards. Okay, so it looks like I made the wrong choice, because if I look at the quest tokens, I could have, if I had put the altar on the other side, completed that quest. But as it stands, I am now not able to do that. However, one nice thing is that by putting it over here, I now have the ability to complete the quest, the potion quest over there. I'm sure I'm not using the right words for that, but they are mystic. The purple ones are mystic. So I'm in good shape. If either one happens, I'll be able to complete at least 1 quest token. So we'll see what happens there. Okay. Right. Skirmish. Hey, I don't mind that. And but I do mind that. Maybe I take my chances. I haven't seen an ambush yet, though. That's a little scary. Maybe I take my chances and see what the second card is. Because either way, however I resolve this, I'm going to break either of my 2 quest tokens, and I don't want to do that. So we are going to take a chance. And we're going to flip over this card. We took a chance, and look at that. We got the merchant. So I believe we just discard that. The merchant is going to break one of my tokens anyway. However, this is a better move. Deep in the dungeon seems like a strange place to set up shop, but who are you to question his sanity? Take any number of the following actions: buy or sell. To see the merchant stock, draw 2 treasure and 2 ingredients. Okay, 2 treasure. Ooh, and 2 ingredients. We'll just go there. Okay, so this is what we have to deal with. I'll show them on the screen in bigger detail. I don't have any money right now, so the Flora Tome is cheaper than the Frost Ring. I could sell a lot of stuff and try to make it. I could sell my Shard Axe, but I'm not going to do that. I don't have any other weapons. Add 1 in damage to all successful attacks enemies weak with ice. Enemies must subtract 1 from their initiative. So useful, but not great. Flora Tome, add 1 to the result of your die roll in the Mushroom Cave. If you search at the campsite, you may take an extra ration instead. Not useful for me as much because of my familiar. Human bone or wasp essence. Ingredients cost 1 gold each. Oh, wait a minute. I prayed at the altar, didn't I? I did. The prayer beads gain 1 health and 1 grit. Or remove 2 poison every time you resolve the altar. Hey. And that first clearing is what gave me the poison. So we're going to clear the poison from doing that. I forgot about the prayer beads. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I don't want to sell either one of those. And I'm not going to sell my weapons. So we're not going to buy anything. I wanted to see some cards, but at the end of the day, we're not going to buy anything. These are treasure. Okay. If something was good enough, I probably would have tried to figure out a way to buy it, but nothing was. Okay. I could have sold and stuff like that, but I just chose not to. I could have sold both of my trapping cards, but not trinkets. He doesn't buy trinkets. That's annoying. Okay. So since we didn't buy anything from him, which one do I want to break? The combat or the potion? I already got burned by burning the potion already once. I'm going to probably regret that. Let's see. So what I'm trying to decide is, do I burn this one or this one? My gut tells me to keep the combat one open. So I think we're gonna burn the potion one again. I guess it's probably dumb, but okay. Choice of doors. Left or right? Left or right? Right. Archangel. You are blinded by a flash of light that quickly fades. After your eyes adjust, you are startled to see the form of a beautiful woman with large wings. She has been sent to judge your deeds. If you have a positive morality, that is me, gain health equal to your placement on the morality tracker. If your morality is negative, lose health equal to your placement on the morality tracker. When you gain health, can you gain more than what you can currently carry or not? Let's see. Morality. Heal you. Yeah. I have a feeling it's probably in the hit points or the health area of the book. Let's see if I'm right. Character creation, B. Your stats may never exceed their starting value unless a skill or item allows for it. Okay, so she can only heal me. I'm at max health already. So it's really all I did. Look at that. I broke the potion. I shouldn't have done that. I was guessing. So I could have, if I had made the other choice and put the merchant over here, I could have completed this quest token here. But as it was, I rolled the dice, 50-50 chance, and didn't do that. So I'm gonna break the wealth quote at the end here instead, because I don't need it right now. I have one already. So we're still hunting for this combat one. Left or right? Right. Ambush. You catch your foe by surprise. And guess what? Once I complete this, if I don't die, of course, then I will finally get my combat quest token. So I was at least right that it was coming. And I'm getting initiative. So that's nice. Enemy. Right? Enemy? Draw an enemy card. Okay, here we go. I am fighting a fishman. And it says 5 + 2 health, because we're in level 1, so 7. Oh, I think I might have messed up about soaking damage. Oh well. I got to remember that the shields soak damage. So from here on out, I got to remember, I got to add an additional damage for the soak. Let's see. If I defeat this guy, I'll get an ingredient or a trinket. He is weak to ice, though. That's good for me, for my shard axe. When the fisherman successfully hits, you gain 1 poison. No thank you. Gain 1 ration if you defeat him. Fish yummy. That's messed up. Okay. All right. So I have to get 7 plus 2 because of his shield. So I have to get 9 damage. Now, in order to get 9 damage, I would need to roll at least a 1, because then I would add my brawn. So 1 plus 3 is 4. Then my shard axe adds 3, which is 7, plus 2 somewhere to get past the shield. So I think I'm going to spend a grit to try to get to 9. Unless I roll really well and I don't need the grit, but I want to kill this guy and I don't want to get poisoned. So I'm going to go ahead and spend a grit. And we're going to roll the dice. I need at least a 1. If I roll doubles, then I whiff. And I waste the grit too. Ooh, barely. But I did only roll a 1 because it's a 5 and a 6. So that means it's, like I said, it's 1 plus 3 from my bronze. So 4 plus 3 from my shard axe is 7. Plus 3 from my grit is 10, which makes it past the 9 complete hit points I need to kill the fishman. And I gain a ration for killing him. Cool. A little bit gross, but cool. I avoid the poison. I didn't have to worry about initiative because I ambushed him, and I gain a level B or type B treasure. Or I mean, yeah, I guess it's treasure. A trinket or an ingredient. Well, I don't really need an ingredient right now. I don't really want the encumbrance. So I'm going to go for trinket. Wand shaft. I just drew the wand shaft, which is the second half of what I needed to combine it with my raw amber. Item 2 of 2, required to create the ice wand reward or the fire wand reward. I just successfully, I believe, if I'm right, crafted the fire wand. That was a lucky pull. Let's go read how we make the fire wand. Aha. In order to create a powerful wand, you must locate the wand shaft trinket and either the amethyst or raw amber trinket. You will then have to discard both cards and search the reward deck to take the appropriate card. Okay, so it's just like that. I don't have to do anything. It's a free action. I'm looking for the fire wand. And there's the fire wand. Okay, fire wand comes out. Let's read it together. It's worth 6 points. These cards are discarded. They are both trinkets. Okay. 6 points, 1 encumbrance. Sits in my primary hand slot. Oh dear. Add 2 damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to fire. So it's the same thing as shard axe, but I get more damage to ice. And this is a mind weapon, which is not good. Maybe I sell the fire wand? That's crazy. When do I get to re-equip stuff? Inventory. You may attempt to swap weapons before combat under certain circumstances. If you are resolving a skirmish or exalted foe, you may attempt to swap weapons before initiative is determined by performing an agility check. Ooh. If you pass, you may swap weapons. If you fail, you cannot and must add 2 to the enemy's initiative because you wasted time trying to get the right weapon out. Wow. If resolving an ambush card as the first card, you can swap weapons without a skill check. So in this case, that would have been one of those because I was resolving an ambush. So ambushes, well, I can keep this around. There's no reason not to. It's worth, I have to store it. So I go up 1 on the encumbrance track, but I have this weapon and it is available to me. And if I'm ambushing, I can swap it in for free against the right enemy. That's cool. Okay, so he's dead. I got my fire wand, which is crazy. It's worth $6, so I can sell that for good money later if I need to. It's a mind weapon and I'm a brawn character, so I don't know exactly how that works, but... And now we place this here and we get our combat quest token, which is 2 of the 3 we need to finish our first quest. In good timing, too, because it's our last 2 doors of the level. Left or right? Left or right? Left. Clearing. Draw and resolve a encounter. I could get a tree. Might as well get a nature quest, if that's what these are called, because it's what I can make. And it does open me up, if I do resolve this, which I think I will, it does open me up to a mystic quest token. Not a bad thing. Okay, let's resolve an encounter. Cave fox. You hear an animal crying as you walk into the clearing. Your eyes scan the room and you see a small cave fox with its hind legs trapped between 2 rocks. Lose 1 grit and 1 health and move up 1 space in the morality tracker to free the fox. You then gain 1 nature quest token. Or skin the fox, move down 2 on the morality tracker, gain a ration and 2 ingredients. Well, I'll gain a ration anyway by going up the morality track, so I'm really only losing a grit and a health. I'm not fond about losing the health, but I will lose a grit and a health, go up 1 on the morality. So now I'm at 4. And because I went up on the morality, my one-eyed toad gives me another ration. I like it. And I gain a nature quest token, which I'm sure will come in handy on future quests. That was pretty powerful as encounters go, I think. Seems like it. And because we completed a clearing, let's shift these all the way over, last one, we complete that and get another nature because we completed these 2. So we get another nature quest token. So we got 2 nature quest tokens in that 1 turn. The only thing we don't have is this 1 mystic one. I wonder, can I trade 2 for 1? Let's see if they let us do that. Exploration. Stat checks. Questing. Yeah. Nope. Doesn't look like it. I just have to have them. Okay. Well, that's fine. So this is the end of level 1. I have successfully survived 1 level of the dungeon with barely a scratch. I'm sure it's because it's level 1, and I've probably been missing that 1 element of shields for the first couple of combats, so I probably am a little bit higher than I should be, but not by much, I don't think. Let's see. Finishing the level. At the end of the level is triggered once you resolve the last set of cards in the dungeon. You must do the following in order. Shuffle the dungeon deck and place it face down to set the level for the next dungeon. Feed your character, okay. Poison, okay. Discard the top level of the level tracker. Okay, questing, got it. Okay, so I'm slightly behind because I'm still on quest level 1. However, I do have 2 quest markers I don't need, so hopefully future quests will need those. So I'll be in and be able to clear that one a little faster. So first things first, we're going to shuffle this. Am I supposed to be shuffling enemies back into the enemy deck when you defeat them? It's a good question. Attempting to hit. Defense. Ending combat. Abominations. Yeah. It bypasses their defense if they are weak to the type of magic being dealt, but they can still block standard damage. Okay, yeah. So I still have to add additional damage on top, unless all of my damage is coming from that kind of magic damage. It doesn't say what you do with the enemy once you kill it. So I don't know. On the one hand, I'm like, we're going to see these guys again, right? On the other hand, that's a big deck of enemies. Maybe I just know that I'm working my way through it, and as soon as I get to the end of the enemy deck, I reshuffle. I don't know. End of the level, do I shuffle exploration, turn sequence? Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't actually say what you do with your defeated enemies. Huh. If anybody knows, I'm all ears. I'm going to leave them in a face-up stack, and we're just going to work our way through the enemy's deck, and then I'll reshuffle if I run out of cards. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that's what we're going to do this time. Okay. Oh, wait. I'm reshuffling only 9 of the 18 cards. These have to be added back in, too. I like this. The first level, I can already say, I really, really like this quest marker business. Very cool. I know that there is a way, there's at least one card in these 18 cards that let me get the quest token of my choosing somehow. I don't remember what it is, but at least there's a way. I am a little bit like, I wish I could like trade 2 for 1. So I'm not stuck if I end up like amassing a bunch of quest tokens that I can't do anything with. Is there a different way out other than that? So, okay. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so level 2, we're going to discard the level 1 card, and now level 2's card looks like this. And now type C is 1 ration or 1 ingredient. Type B, 1 trinket, 1 ration, or 1 trapping. 1 trinket and 1 ration, or 1 trapping. That could be nice. So the critters are getting a little bit more lucrative. And again, as a reminder, we're looking for the purple, I think they're called Mystic Quest marker to complete quest number 1. We are now in level 2, which now means that it's going to be +4 hit points to all of my enemies instead of +2. Because we always take the dungeon level times 2 and add it to their base damage, or base hit points rather. Okay. Clearing. Cool. Fruit tree. If the clearing stand in the clearing, typo, the clearing. In the clearing stands a tall and slender tree. Its higher branches bend with ripe fruit. Leaning against the base of the tree is an axe. I can either chop down the tree or leave the tree alone. If I chop it down, I move 1 space down on the morality track and gain 2 rations. I don't need rations. Or leave the tree alone, move up 1 space, and gain a nature quest token. Well, I get a ration anyway because of the one-eyed toad, so I'm going to go up on the morality track, leave the tree alone, gain a ration anyway. Now we're at 6 rations. Oh, that's right. I would have eaten a ration at the end of the level. I failed to do that, so I just take the ration I just gained and make it go away. And then I gain another nature quest token. So at the end of the level 1, or all the levels, I'm supposed to feed myself. I had 5 rations. I would have been down to 4. This would have gained me another ration. I just chose to eat that instead because I forgot. But as it is, I got a 3rd nature token because of that encounter. Okay, that goes out. This goes here. Still hunting for that for that other quest token. Right side. Merchant. Ooh. Still don't have any money, although I could sell the fire wand. Before I sell the fire wand or decide whether to sell the fire wand, let's figure out how weapons work, because combat. Look at the bottom right corner of the weapon card you have equipped. Every weapon relies on a stat. You add your matching stat value to your attack. So I would lose my +3. If I went the fire wand, I would do +1. So it would be whatever my roll is +1. And then if I was fighting against the fire, it would be +2 to that enemy. So it would be not great. It's probably more valuable to me to have $6. So let's see what the merchant has to offer us. And it says to see the matching, so 2 treasure and 2 ingredients. Here come the ingredients first. Cavern Zolia and the Goblin's Toe. And then it says 2 treasure. Okay. Iron Helm. Ooh. Iron Helm just soaks damage. Or the Amber Blade. Add 3 damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to fire. So this is the same thing as my Shard Axe, but for fire. I think I'm going to go take the Iron Helm. Yeah. What happened there? Hold on a moment. My monitor is misbehaving. 1 second. Oh, you decided to come back, did you? That's nice. Okay, cool. I love it when my technology decides to just blink for no reason. Okay, we're going to sell the fire wand for 6. We're going to buy the Iron Helm for 4, which earns us a net $2. So we have $2 left over. And now the Iron Helm subtracts 1 damage from all enemy attacks. And it's 1 encumbrance, so we go up to 7. Fire Wand goes away. It is a reward card. And what's it say? 2 ingredient cards costing 1 gold each. So I could buy both of these ingredient cards. That'll be an extra. This will be an extra encumbrance, though, to hold on to those, because there'd be 2 of those. So how does potion crafting work? You will gain ingredient cards. On their own, ingredients have no power, but they may be combined to create powerful potions. Once you have 2 ingredients, you may attempt to craft a potion with them. Place both cards side by side. So let's imagine for a moment that we were trying to craft both of these. And we'll set them side by side. Okay. This is the crafting difficulty, these little stars on the upper corner. The more powerful the ingredient, the more difficult it is to craft a potion with. These arrows signify the crafting effects. These icons indicate the possible effects you may gain by crafting a potion with a particular ingredient. And then this is the risk and reward. There is a risk associated with each ingredient that you may suffer if you fail at crafting the potion. There is also a reward that you may gain if you happen to craft an exquisite variant of a potion. Once you have 2 ingredients, you may attempt to craft a potion with them. Place both cards side by side so that the red arrows line up with each other. You are looking for icons to match in a row across both cards. Okay, well, I do have that in this case. Each icon offers you a particular effect. health. Each heart icon will heal your character for 1 health. If none of the icons match up across both cards, so let's say that these hearts didn't match up, you may shift one of the cards up or down in an attempt to get a row of matching icons. So I could have done this or that, right? But in this case, I didn't have to. If each space you shift the card increases the difficulty to craft the potion by 1 point. If by chance multiple rows have matching icons, you must choose which row of icons you want to use. Okay, fine. In this example, the only row of icons that match up is the top row of hearts. In my case, it's the middle row of hearts. For this example, we're not going to shift either of the cards since they already match up. We're going to attempt to make a healing potion with the heart icons. If successful, we will restore health equal to the number of heart icons, which is 4 in the example, or in my case, 5. Next, we must determine the crafting difficulty. We add up all the white stars, so this would have a 5 difficulty, 2 and 3. The sum in this case is 5. Since we didn't have to shift either card, we don't have to add anything. Roll a d6, add your mind stat. Uh-oh. I only have a 1 mind stat. That's going to make this card this potion very difficult for me to craft. If I roll a 6, though, then I automatically succeed and create an exquisite potion. Which in my case would have been 2 grit, I think. Which is 1 grit and 1 grit. Well, okay, since I need mind stat to craft, and I don't really want the encumbrance anyway, I guess I could take the encumbrance, and then either sell them or use them in a pinch if like I'm really, really hurting later and need 5 health, right? Why not? But then I have to buy them. They're $1 each. Then I'd be out all of my money. I think we're just not going to buy the ingredients. I could try crafting, but I just don't feel like it. We're not going to buy the amber blade. Okay, thank you, merchant. Now that we are done, why is that being weird? That's strange. Hold on. Oh, apologies. Give me a second. Let me clear this up. That did not go the way it needed to go. I can turn that off for the moment, though. We'll come back to that. Okay. As soon as that comes back online, I forgot to plug it in before we started streaming, so it ran out of battery. That's no problem. I'll get that back online in just a moment. Okay, so this goes up here, and we get a wealth quest token. Sorry, that took a minute to resolve all of that. Okay. That goes over there. This comes this way. Right side. Skirmish. Do I duck out of the skirmish and pray it's not an ambush? I mean, what are my odds? Not very good. I haven't seen very many cards yet. And a lot of the cards I have seen are not combat cards. I think I better do the skirmish. Yeah, we're going to do the skirmish. A skelepede. Oh dear. Let me get this camera back online. Give me a moment. Okay. Let's see if everything's in focus. I believe it is. Let's turn it back on. It's a little too zoomed in, but if we need to, we can pop it back out again. Okay. All right, good enough. Apologies for that. Right. So we have the Skelipede, right? We'll move him over here so you can see the numbers a little bit better. There we go. Boy, he's just a lovely little creature, isn't he? Skelipede. So 7 plus 4 is 11 hit points. Yikes. We're going to go roundy with this guy. Before combat, make a mind check. If you fail, gain 1 curse. Oh, man. It's a d6 plus the buff. And I need to make a 7, so I have to roll a 6. Uh-oh. I rolled a 4. I get a curse. Where are the curse cards? No curse cards? How do curses work? Oh, the curse tokens. Okay. Throughout your adventure, you will battle enemies and resolve encounters that will cause you to gain a curse token. Curses themselves are not a concern, but if you ever gain 5 curses, you must discard them and draw a random scourge card. Okay. So I have my first curse, which is a little curse token that we add to the board over there. There are a few ways to remove curse tokens during your adventure, including the altar, certain items, casting the faith incantation, or crafting a potion. However, once you have gained a scourge, it is very difficult to get rid of it. They're nasty burdens. Okay, so it's just, I got to monitor curses. Okay. If this, let's see. If the Skelipede misses during combat, you gain 1 grit. It's got 5 initiative. So I need to figure out my initiative. How do I remember? What are my initiatives again? How do I do that? Okay. Initiative. Sorry, it's just a little new. Encounters. Aha. 9. Roll a d6 and add my agility, okay? Which is a 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. I beat initiative, so I get to go first. Great. Okay, it is not weak to ice, so I have to worry about that. It does soak 1 damage. I also have to worry about that. So if I want to deal 11 damage in 1 hit, maybe I do, maybe I don't, I would need to spend some grit. If I spend 2 grit, I get to add 5. So it's going to be 3 plus whatever I roll. So let's say the minimum of 4. If I spend 3 grit, I could add 7 to that roll. That's a lot of grit to spend. I could hedge and hope that I roll higher and just spend 2 grit to add 5 instead of 3. And if by some miracle he misses me, which I doubt he will do, then I would gain 1 of those grit back. He only deals, I believe, 1 damage. So he's not like super powerful. 3 is damage, yeah. And that's base damage. That's before his roll, but it's still base damage. I soak 1, but he's not going to do a ton of hit point damage to me. Let's burn 2. Let's see if we roll higher than 1. We haven't been lately, but okay. So as a reminder, I add 3 to this roll, plus 5 if I hit. Didn't quite kill him. I rolled a 1 and a 3. Come over there. So I did 2 points of damage, plus 3 is 5. Plus 5 is 10. So I took him from 11 down to 1 hit point. I wish there was something I could do to like just push him over the edge. But that's all right. He's down to 1 hit point. Now we get to find out what happens when he attacks me. I believe it's just the same combat. Enemy attack. Enemy attacks work much like your own. Roll 2d6. Ooh, a 5 and a 4. That's good for me. They didn't roll doubles, so they didn't miss. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't like actively deal any kind of special damage. So he just deals 1 plus his die roll, which is 1. So he deals 2. I soak 1, so I take 1 point of damage. I'm not even going to roll for this next one. Oh, well, I am going to roll to make sure I don't roll doubles. I don't roll doubles. He's dead because no matter what happens, I'm going to deal 1 point of damage, 4 points of damage, and he's only going to soak 1. So he's dead, which is cool. Now, type B says I earn 1 trinket and 1 ration or 1 trapping. I have rations and I don't need more trinkets. I've never seen a trapping before. So, I mean, I have seen trappings, but we're supposed to shuffle the trapping deck before you draw from it. So that's what we're going to do. There's not very many of them, so I'm just doing a little side shuffle. Okay, here we go. A spiked club. Not what I wanted to see. Add 1 damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to holy damage. Well, I mean, I'll hang on to it. Let me recalc my encumbrance. It's been a minute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 encumbrance. I've bought and sold some stuff a couple times, so. Do you rest when you between levels now or not? I thought you did, but I could be wrong. Exploration. Turn sequence. Finishing the level. No. You don't visit the campfire at the end anymore. Interesting. Oh, but when you feed, you gain 1 grit. So I'll give myself a grit back because I did feed the ration, but I never gained the grit. And I wasn't hurt at the time, so I didn't take any damage and didn't regain any health from the last time I fed my ration. So no, you don't search a campsite unless you reach the campsite, is the answer there. Okay, so we're gonna go here and gain another wealth token. But now we're set up to earn another combat. I don't need to, but so he's dead. I do earn an experience from that. I should be at 4 because I haven't spent any and I've killed 3 monsters. So I didn't take experience the last time. So I'll reconcile that now. I'm at 4, which means 1 more experience and I get to gain a skill, a bronze skill, but still a skill. So now what are we doing? Left. Altar. Ooh. Huh. I'll only have 1 curse. But then again, if I go up on the morality tracker again, I'd be at 6. And I would gain a food and a grit. And because I'm so high on the morality tracker, if I visit the altar again, oh, and because I'm at the altar, Gain 1 health and 1 grit, or remove 2 poison whenever you resolve the altar because I have the prayer beads. Let's just vote for favor. We're going to keep the curse for a minute because I can. It says remove curse tokens equal to your place on the morality tracker. So when I reach the altar again, if I reach the altar again, and I have more curse and I'm super high on the morality tracker, I'll be able to wipe all of them out in one visit to the altar. So as long as I don't end up accumulating 4 more curse before I reach the altar a second time or a third time, I should be okay to wait. So we'll go ahead and move up 1 more step on the morality tracker, which earns us a ration from my familiar. And I gain a grit. And because I have the prayer beads, I also heal 1 and gain an additional grit. So 2 grit, 1 health, and a ration. Very cool. I already have the combat, so I'm going to go ahead and break the combat quest in favor of opening up this mystic quest, which I really, really need open right now. So that goes away over here. 2 more doors. Right. Skirmish. Haven't seen ambush yet. I don't like the idea of going up against more critters, but again, that's how I get experience, and experience gets me skills. So I am skirmishing. It's not an ambush. So let's take it. A troll. Move him over here so we can read him a little easier. Okay. There's our troll. And it says, if your attack misses against the troll, they will heal 3 health. Hate that. 9 plus 4 is 13 health. Hate that too. Okay. He deals a base 3 damage and he soaks 2. Also hate that. This, of course, means I have nothing that he is weak against that I can use. I don't have 3 trinkets to discard, and even if I did, I wouldn't want to. That's not true. I do. He gets 6 initiative. I would get 2. Oof. This guy's going to hurt, man. So, okay, in order to kill this guy, I'm going to go roundy with him at least once. And he's going to deal a base 3 damage. But I get an A value treasure, which is 2 ingredients or 1 treasure for killing him. I think we're going to kill him, and I don't think we're going to avoid him. 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 2 is 15. Best I can do against him without a specialty weapon is 5 plus 3 is 8. So if I spent 3 grit for plus 7, it would be 15. So we're going to spend 3 grit, hope we don't whiff, and we probably won't do enough to full-on kill him with this unless we roll perfectly. Let's see what happens. I need to roll a 6 and a 1. I roll a 2 and a 1. That is not enough. However, I didn't miss, so it wasn't in vain. I do 1 point of damage from the roll, plus 7 for the grit that I spent, so that's 8. Plus 3 brawn is 11 points of damage. So he's down to 4. Pretty respectable. I can definitely kill him next round. Unfortunately, it means he gets to go. Oh, I didn't do initiative, and I should have. Initiative is 5 plus what? What is the add-on for initiative? Agility. And I needed to get to 7. Is that right? I'm still learning the initiative thing because that's new, I think. Initiative. Yes, D6 plus, okay. So I beat his initiative. His initiative target is 6, as you can see there in the corner. And I got 7 because my agility is 2 plus my die roll of 5. So I did in fact go first. That wasn't a fluke. So I didn't have to do his attack again and then attack him and then he attacks me again. So thankfully he only gets to attack me one time and before I get to have my second attack. So let's see how bad it is. Oh my God, he rolls perfectly. He rolls 5 plus 3. He does 8 points of damage to me. That hurt. I'm going to take a 5 off the bottom and add 3. That hurt a lot. And I just splashed those all over the place and I don't care. Hold on. Did I do that right? No. He didn't do 8 points of damage. He did 7 because I have the Iron Helm on, which soaks 1. Thank God. Still, that's still 7 points of damage. Okay. Ow. Now I have to soak 2. So I need to be able to deal 4 points of damage. Let's call it 6 because of the 2 shield. And I will roll at least a 1. So I'll do 1 point of damage plus 3 brawn is 4. So I'll spend 1 more grit. So if I land a hit, if I land a 1, I'll kill him. 3 and a 5, I would have killed him anyway, but that's all right, I think. So that, 2 and a 5 rather. So that's 3 plus 3 is 6. That's what I needed. I didn't need to spend the grit, but I wanted to make sure he was dead. Okay. Unfortunately, that means I've lost half of my grit already. But the troll is now dead. That's the important part. So now that he's dead, I get 2 experience. So I get to get a skill. I think I can do that at any time, but I'll confirm. And I get a level A, a type A treasure in level 2. 2 ingredients or a treasure. Let's take a treasure. We got a bone breaker. Might have been a good pull. 2-handed weapon. Add 4 damage to all successful attacks against enemies weak to holy damage. It weighs 3 though. Holy moly. Cannot be used if you have 0 or less morality. Okay. It is a brawn weapon. Huh. I've been fighting a lot of stuff that is weak to holy, though. Do I swap that in for my shard axe? Why not? Let's swap it in for my shard axe. Okay, so we now have the shard axe in reserve. We can swap it maybe if we get lucky before the right combat. But now our encumbrance is pretty high. It is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're almost full. We can only carry 1 more encumbrance worth of stuff before we start having to make hard calls. Okay. So that was good and bad. Okay, so troll is gone. Now let's find out about skills. When do I get to make a skill or learn a skill? Stats, inventory, skills. You will gain experience. You spend experience to learn new skills. Adventure character, the cost of learning skills based on your skill proficiency. A new skill may only be learned in between turns, like right now. Okay, so first and foremost, let's resolve this, finish resolving this turn. Wouldn't mind another one of those. So we'll come over here. That way we have access to a combat quest marker and a mystic quest marker. Now let's learn skills. This is our first skill, and the way skills work is since we're going to spend 5 of my 6 experience on a new skill, so we'll discard that. It would have been 6, but because of my race, they learn skills faster. They're 1 cheaper. Character creation, game setup, exploration, spills. Right. Okay, so we just choose the skill we want in our proficiency. So we have fortitude already. We haven't seen the campsite, and we haven't consumed a potion. Okay, we haven't tried to remove that. So brawn, we have brawn skills. There are only 3 left that we have not already learned. Let's pull fortitude out for the moment. Put this deck down. Okay. So fortitude is there. Now, our choices are guard. Move it off to the side so you can read that a little easier. Years on the battlefield have made you savvy with a shield. You may skip your turn to attack in combat to perform a guard action. Doing so will gain you health equal to your brawn skill and grit equal to your mind skill. You may only perform this action once per combat. You may only use the skill if you are equipped with a shield. I am not currently equipped with a shield. Okay? Might. You were born larger and stronger than your peers, making you capable of remarkable feats. Whenever you are asked to perform a brawn check, you may add 1 bonus point to your roll. Whenever you successfully hit during combat with a brawn-based weapon, you may add 1 bonus damage. Wow. So that's just a flat +1 whenever I am making attacks. Rage. You have learned to harness the power of your inner rage. Whenever you take damage from an enemy, you may spend 1 health on your next attack to perform a rage attack. The damage of your next attack is modified as determined by a d6 roll. Could be quite big, depending on the situation. But I'm also burning through health in order to do that. Rage is cool, but I think for my first skill, I'm going to learn Might as a reminder, because that gives me a bonus to brawn checks and a net +1 bonus damage, which might have helped me at least once already in my combat, because there was one point where I had one guy with 1 hit point left and I had to take a hit from him. And I wouldn't have had to do that if I had had this Might. So we're going to learn Might, and we're going to put that over here. Might and fortitude are right there. In fact, I think instead, I'll just quickly shift some stuff around, make it a little bit clearer what's going on. Okay. So I get a +1 to brawn-based attacks. I'm going to have to try to remember that. I think I'm at 6 on the morality tracker. I'm nearly certain I am. That's a 0. Okay. I don't know what these are supposed to be for. I think it's just to try to remind myself. So I'm going to say I'm at a 1. I get to soak a 1 damage. I have a +4 to all holy. And this other weapon, so I have a +1 to just regular damage. Yeah, I don't know how these are supposed to work, this chart over here. There's nothing in the book that really describes how to use them. I think I'm just going to track them for the kinds of damage that I currently can do and hope for that. Okay. All right. More doors. A clearing. Do I kick open another door or do I do the encounter? I need this potion and I'm just not finding a left-sided potion anywhere. Let's do the encounter. I like the encounters. They're fun. Hollowed Armory. It says, a palpable aura of divine energy permeates the space you find yourself in. An abandoned armory, once frequented by righteous warriors, now sit mostly empty. A single suit of ornate armor remains, bathed in a beam of golden light shining through a fissure in the ceiling above. If your morality is 5 or higher, gain the Sacred Armor reward card. I do, because my morality was at 5 and I recently increased it to 6. If your morality is on the negative, no. Make a mind check. Okay, well, I get the Sacred Armor reward because of the Hallowed Armory. Okay. I wonder what this thing's going to be like. Sacred Armor. It's worth $7. Woo, boy. Encumbrance of 3, so I'm going to have to get rid of something. Subtract 2 damage from all energy attacks and reduce, or enemy attacks rather. Wow. And reduce enemy magic damage of all types by 1. Cannot be worn if you're of 0 or less. Wow. Well, we're definitely going to put that on. That's silly. So we got to figure out how we're going to resolve our encumbrance, though. So we're 2 over, right? We like the prayer beads. That's been pretty helpful for us. We're keeping the shard axe. So here's what we'll do. We're going to quaff Godfrey's spirits. Discard to restore 3 grit. Roll a d6. If the result is a 1, then I gain a curse token. That will save me 1 encumbrance. I will also then discard the spiked club, which will bring me down to 10 encumbrance, if I'm doing my math right. So first and foremost, we're going to discard to restore 3 grit. We're going to roll a d6. It is a 3. You didn't see it because it didn't stop, but there you go. So I did not get a curse token. So that's trappings. Spiked club is a trapping, so that'll go back in there as well. Okay, so let's recheck our encumbrance. 3, 3, 3, 1. So we're at 10. That's our max encumbrance. But we're still legal. We have the Iron Helm and the Sacred Armor. I'm now subtracting 3 damage from all of my enemies. And I reduce enemy magic attacks damages by 1, so they're also less potent. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, super powerful. That was encounter. Clearing. I think we're going to keep this going. We're not going to get another nature. We're going to keep this potion seeking happening, but we'll also keep the combat on the other side because we only have one of those. Left. Campsite, finally. Okay, campsite says, and that's our potion we need. Hey, finally. That's our mystic, This is what we've been hunting for. You have found a relatively quiet spot to set up camp, but you shouldn't linger for too long. Pick one of the actions below. Cook, spend a ration to gain grit. I only have 2 that I have not gained. Rest, spend 1 ration to gain D6 and remove 1 poison. Don't have any poison, but could use the hit points. I could gain a ration, but I have ways to get rations. So I could search for a trinket or an ingredient, but I think I'm going to go with resting. And there's something over here that says something about resting. Oh, yeah, here we go. Remove 1 bonus potion when you rest at the campfire. That's what it is. Okay, well, I don't have any potions, so I don't need to worry about that. Anything else I need to worry about? No. Okay. So, spend a ration, spending a ration. Gain 1d6 health and remove 1 poison. I gain 4 health. Not a bad use of a ration. Let's see. Just doing some accounting here. Okay, so we're only down 4 hit points now. Not too bad. So that campsite comes off. And we will now go here and get a Mystic Quest token. Finally. So let's talk questing, because we just finished the requirements for our very first quest. We're about halfway through level 2. Not good, but we also have some other tokens, so maybe we can use some of those to our advantage. Questing. Spend the tokens. Doing this allows you to read. Right. Probably between turns, I'm guessing. Yeah. Okay, well, we're just going to resolve our quest because we're in between turns. Okay, so our quest, as a reminder, says this. After a bit of turmoil, you finally find Godfrey kneeling before an altar in an old chapel. He seems happy to see a friendly face, and the 2 of you have a long chat over a bowl of stew. Gain 1 grit. Thank you very much. I will. Okay, and then it says, after your meal and conversation, you know where you must travel to next. You may place 1 trinket at the altar as an offering, and this will gain you 2 health. Well, I have 2 trinkets, 1 trinket that I definitely want to keep, and that's my prayer beads. We like those. I just used a trinket, which was the bottle. Oh, that wasn't a trinket. That was the trapping. The only other trinket I have is this one, which would help me resolve the Talking Dead encounter, which I may or may not ever see. Now watch, if I do that, I see I'm only down 2 health, or 4 health. But I have this, I could use it now. And I don't have a strong mind skill, so I will fail that check if I ever do find that guy. But I'm also carrying this 1 trinket around in the hopes that I ever come across that encounter. So do I take the 2 health that I need now? Or do I hold on to the bottle for an eventuality that may never come? I think we take the 2 health and we pray we don't come across that encounter. So we're going to discard this trinket. And we're going to gain 2 health. So now we're only down 2 health, and Godfrey's quest is done. Right, our next quest, and that's right, I need to discard a blue, a purple, and a red. Okay, So we have 5 more quest tokens. Are you kidding me? The exact same requirements. Well, it's a good thing we're set up for another combat, because that'll give us that. And we already have the wealth, and we're back to needing another potion. Unreal. But it says, locate the crypt. After being given some direction, you begin to make your way deeper into the dungeon. The crypt you are to discover is said to house some ancient texts that refer to a magical item of great power. You may spend 2 ingredients instead of a mystic quest token for this quest. Really? Well, next time we have the ability to gain some ingredients, we're absolutely going to do that. Okay, so let's kick open a door. Left. Archangel. Okay. And my morality's in the positive, so I gain up to my number of morality. So I didn't actually have to trade that trinket. The Archangel's going to take care of it for me, but that's all right. We already did. Now we're fully healed up, and we only have 1 grit that we haven't already spent. So we're kind of doing great. Okay. Well, since we need another potion, we've already seen the campsite. So we'll put the Archangel over here, which gives us another nature token. If you can believe it. I think we might have all of them here soon. Last 2 doors. Left. Skirmish. I'm going to bet it's not an ambush. Although, this skirmish would give us the combat we're looking for. And the potion we're looking for. Let's do the skirmish. I wasn't gonna, but it's also level 2. They're still a little cheap in terms of enemies down here. So let's do it. We are fighting an orc. Good old orcs. 7 plus 4 is 11 points of damage, or hit points. He soaks 1, deals 2 base damage. He's weak to fire. If your attack misses, their next hit will deal 3 extra damage. You may avoid this battle with an orc by discarding 2 trinkets. No. Right, we roll initiative. His initiative is 6, though. Oof. I lose initiative. He goes first. He deals 3 points of damage, which I soak entirely, because Iron Helm and Sacred Armor soak 3 combined. He doesn't do any sort of magic damage or anything, so he did nothing to me. Great. My turn. Do I want to spend anything? 11. Best I can do, since I don't have anything weak against him, is 3 plus my roll. So the most I can do is 9 unless I spend a grit. Let's spend 1 grit and see if we roll well. We did not roll well. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 3 is 8, minus 1 is 7. So he's down to 5 hit points. No, he's 11, so he's down to 4 hit points. Can I do math? My goodness. Yeah, 4 hit points. Whew. Okay, he goes again. 3, I soak that again. Four, he's dead. I didn't put any grit on it at all. 4 plus my 3 is 7. And he soaks 1. That's 6, and I only needed to do 4, so he's dead. Okay. Orc is dead. I earn an experience point. So that puts me at 2. And I earn a trinket and a ration or a trapping. Ooh, this one says I can, oh, it's ingredients. Since it's a B, I'll take the trapping. Oh, that's the same one as before. Hold on, I need to shuffle these. I mean, it's possible that I'll find it again, but I didn't shuffle these. Okay, trappings. I got a worn bedroll. When taking the rest action at the campsite, you may either gain 2 extra health, gain 1 grit, or remove 1 poison token. I can't carry the bedroll unless I want to discard something else. I don't have the encumbrance for it. The prayer beads gain 1 health and 1 grit. Nah, we're going to keep the prayer beads. I think it's working better for us than this trapping. Okay. So he's dead. And the skirmish is done. So I can either get the potion over here or the combat over here. They're both kind of hard to get. I feel like the potion's even harder to get. I don't know why, but it just feels like it. And looking at the cards that are out, I'd have to get the altar and the skirmish in the right place for that to work, or get both skirmishes, right? So that's hard to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get the potion, or mystic, or whatever they call it. There's that. Now, if I get 2 ingredients at this point, then I can get out of this quest quickly. Okay, so that's the end of level 2. Do I need to continue? It's been a little while. I could continue this run on a future stream. I could continue this run on my own. It's been a long time. We've been live now for... How long have we been live now for? Do we not have a counter on this screen? It's been at least 2.5 hours. So what I think I might do, I'm not gonna guarantee this, but what I'm thinking I might do is film the rest of this run off stream and put them out on YouTube on episodes, maybe. So if you want to see how this run completes, you could probably catch it if I do it. And I'm not committing to doing that because it's a lot of work to edit those videos. And I may not have the time this week to shoot this. But if I do have time, I will put it up and you can check it out on YouTube and see how this rolls. But this has been, let me give you some impressions, first of all, because this has been a highly anticipated game of mine for many years. Does it hold up to the hype in my head after all these years of waiting for UnderQuest? Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. First of all, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been able to go and trade in the carved gnome at the very beginning of the game. I'm not sure, but it seemed a little OP to be able to start with a reward like the shard axe from the very beginning, but there wasn't anything in the rules that said otherwise, that indicated I could not do it. So I went ahead with it. I'll wait to see what they say in the Board Game Geek post that I put out. But beyond that, though, Look at how well my character has been tuned for, and this is only the end of the level, second level. I have at least 3 more levels to go. I don't know if it goes to level 5 or 6, but in fact, let me look. I'll find out. It goes to level 5. Okay, so I have 3 more levels to go, 3, 4, and 5. And I already have 3 items that are tied to my morality, which I have been gaming. My one-eyed toad has been giving me a bunch of stuff. I got so many rations already. I'm doing great on health. I'm doing great on grit. I've got ways to get back some of that. It feels good. It feels like I've had ample opportunities so far in the early game to really tune the character that I'm trying to play. And it's giving me things that are coming out that give me choices that let me continue to work towards that tuning. In this case, I'm playing a very moral melee brawn level character, and that's exactly what I set out to build. And it's right here, and it's working. And these quest tokens, the only thing I'm worried about is this kind of, I can't get the combinations of cards, and I don't want to like go hunting for them to get the quest tokens that I need. And there's, thankfully, at least this quest is giving me a way out if I can get some ingredients. So maybe I'll find a way to get some ingredients along the way. But because I can't go fishing for ingredients, I'm stuck with whatever type they give me at the level. I'm kind of like, well, I would get an ingredient, but I can't trade down. I don't know if I can do that. Maybe does it say I can go cheaper if I want? I don't think so. I bet the book just says this is what he's carrying. He's carrying a type B treasure. So there's some stuff like that seems artificially limiting. Like, let's say I needed an ingredient and that's a type C, but this guy's giving me a type B. Can I just trade down for the lesser thing that I really need, which is an ingredient? You know, little stuff like that that would be nice to have, but I don't mind a good, deck dive to go look for something that I'm looking for. And who knows, I might get the quest token I need in the next two doors, and then it's an irrelevant problem, and I move on to the next thing. And these 4 nature tokens might serve me very well in the future. I don't know. So, like, how does it feel? Well, I got the sacred armor. I got a bone breaker weapon. I've got an iron helm. These are all high dollar items, high value capabilities. And I'm like in the middle of level 2, or just finished level 2. I feel good. I feel like the game is giving me agency. I feel like I'm on this quest to get to this boss, to learn what happens on my journey with these stories that I'm unlocking with every quest that I'm completing. The critters that I'm battling seem good. The threat of curses and poison and scourges and abominations. The fact that I can do potion crafting if I want to. I'm looking at reward decks and treasure decks and trapping decks and trinket decks. These are all like, what's in there? I'm getting new skills that I have access to that I'm excited to try. It took everything I love about Iron Helm and gave it a fresh, new spin. It took this idea and said, how can we build on this without cheapening it, without breaking it, without making it too easy or too hard? You can tell that there was an awful lot of time spent tuning this and balancing this. And it's giving me some agency and flexibility. That Iron Helm really is a grindy game of inches, where every hit point matters and every grit matters. This is freeing to have some easier ways to heal and more ways to recover grit, and in exchange for these other concerns that we're worrying about, like getting quests done and fighting mini bosses and crafting potions and, having incantations and magic use that we didn't have before, managing curses. These are all things that are new. All of this feels good. The character creation alone, having 3 different cards that combine to create a character creation, gives you hundreds of permutations of characters you can create with just these cards. And here's the best part. I know from Iron Helm, because I have bought absolutely everything for Iron Helm over the years with various crowd sales and expansion content releases and things, that's what's going to happen here. This is the tip of the iceberg for UnderQuest. The number of familiars and classes and characters and the amount of trappings and all of these decks of cards are all going to get stuff added to it. And they're all going to be balanced very well because he always does. And now that the game night is partnering with him to kind of play test and aggressively get to the meat of this system every time he goes to modify it, I know I have high level of trust that this system is only going to get better and richer and more nuanced the longer they cook and the more expansion content they release. This game is not cheap. The base game of UnderQuest, I believe that this is just the base game on UnderQuest at retail today on GameCrafter, is $84 before the playmats. And I will say it's worth every penny of it. I mean it. If you like dungeon delving, if you like kicking down doors and doing it, dungeoneering, exploring, there is no better game than the Iron Helm / UnderQuest system to do that. I am wholly convinced. Fight me on that. I'll die on that hill. This system is fantastic. It really feels like D&D in a box without a game master. And I don't know how they pulled that off. Without a giant board, without the weight of the game being a 4.0 or a 5.0 on BGG. This is tight and elegant and tuned and expansive and expandable. The art is incredible. I didn't even show you like the backs of these cards, but like that, every single piece of art in here encounters these decks are all of the art is amazing. Abominations, scourges, something basic like treasure. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Here's the back of the boss cards, which, by the way, we only have 3 of right now. So we know we're going to get more bosses. Guaranteed. There's got to be more bosses that's coming. These cards are beautiful. The production value from GameCrafter, fantastic. It always is. People always look at me like GameCrafter. Whatever. Those are just whatever games. The quality, the price, whatever. Worth it. I stand by GameCrafter. What they're doing is democratizing game production, democratizing game publishing, getting us away from having to, if you're designing a new game and you believe in it and you know that it is strong and you think it's going to actually resonate with people, but a publisher doesn't want to take a chance on you because you're brand new, or they want to modify your game in some meaningful way because they think it's going to sell with a target demographic or whatever they want to do. No shade to publishers. We need them in the industry. Absolutely. But if you want to maintain control, editorial control over your own game, and you believe in its vision, and you can find an audience, you can do that with GameCrafter. And you can find very loyal audiences. These are self-published games. Iron Helm, self-published. Expansions, self-published. UnderQuest and all the other games, Dust Runner, everything else that Jason has ever done has all been through his own control and his own quality standards. And they're all really good games. And he hasn't needed a publisher or a developer or anything. hats off to both Jason and GameCrafter for following the model that really means you as an artist and as a designer can control your fate from idea to fulfillment and people actually enjoying your content. UnderQuest is fantastic. It is a triumph. It deserves the current 8.7 that it currently has on BGG. And I'm going to go rate it very highly myself. I hope that this gives you a somewhat unstructured, somewhat messy view at a real playthrough of UnderQuest by someone who has not been buried in this game forever. And I hope it inspires you to consider risking your money, which I know right now is hard to come by, especially here in the US, on a copy of UnderQuest. And I hope and I wish you happy dungeon delving. But that's it from me. If I manage to get more of this filmed between now and next weekend, look for future installments on YouTube as we finish out this run of UnderQuest. Hopefully I can get that to work. And if I don't, forgive me and join me again next week at the table on Sunday for something completely different. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. Take care.